Assalamualaikum. My name is Widi Mutakin from Expose Academy. In this tutorial video, we will learn to create a game tile set such as this one using Adobe Illustrator. But before that, I need to remind you that this tutorial is not for beginners who are very new to Adobe Illustrator. If you want to learn Adobe Illustrator from the basic level to advanced level, then I recommend you to join my online courses at Udemy or Skillshare. You can check the links in the description section of this video. Before we start, make sure the pixel snap option is off. And for now, we need to activate the Smart Guides option. Game tile sets are usually made in a perfect square aspect ratio, so we need to use the rectangle tool. Press X to bring up the fill color box, and press this button to make the fill color blank. Then click drag on the canvas while holding Shift so that the rectangle shape forms a perfect square. Now use the line tool and draw a line while holding Shift, like this. We use this line as the boundary between the grass on the top area and the grass on the side. Then we can copy this line upwards by holding down the Alt key. Click drag, and then also hold down the Shift key so that the movement is straight vertically. With the same method, we can also duplicate this line downward. This line is just a temporary marker for the boundary between the grass and the ground areas. I think we should bring this up a little. Now we are going to add a guideline for the grass. Press P to use the pen tool. Click on an intersection point here, and click again here, and so on. If you are done, hold down Ctrl, then click on an empty area. Next, we will clean up these lines using the Live Paint feature. To do this, first, select everything by pressing Ctrl A. Then press K to activate the Live Paint bucket tool. Then click anywhere inside the line objects to convert them into a Live Paint group. If a warning message appears, just click the OK button. Then choose a green color for the top grass area. And click inside the region to fill it with the green color. Next, select a darker version of the green color. Then click inside this area. Choose a brown color for the soil. To fill a color into several regions at once, you can click drag like this. The last one is the color for the sky. We only use the sky color temporarily. Later, we will change it to be transparent. You will understand later why we need to do this. For the next step, we are going to get rid of the lines that we don't need. Press Shift L to activate the Live Paint selection tool. Select these lines, and then press Delete. Then select these lines, press Delete again. And finally this one. Press V to activate the selection tool. Then select the Live Paint object. We want all of the strokes in this object to be invisible. We can click on the None Color button. Again, this will only make all the strokes to be invisible, even though they actually still exist. Next, we want to make the grass blades or the leaves. For this, you can create them manually one by one using the pen tool. But for this tutorial, we will use the Art Brush feature to make the process faster. First, activate the rectangle tool. For the fill color, you may use any color you like, it doesn't really matter. Create a rectangle about this size. Then press A to activate the direct selection tool. Select the two anchor points on the right side. Right-click and select Average. Then select both. Now we have a triangle shape like this. Press Shift tilde to activate the curvature tool. Or you can also press this button if you forget the shortcut. Then click drag at this point to reshape the curve. And also at this point. Then, open the Brushes panel. To create a new art brush, just click drag this object onto the Brushes panel. Select the Art Brush option. For this art brush, we want it to scale proportionally based on its length. Next, we want to flip the stroke direction. We want to start from the sharp point towards the side of the base shape. For this, we need to select this option. Then, we want to use this gray color as the key color, which will change depending on the active color. For that, we need to select the Hue Shift mode. After you are done, Just click OK. And now we have a new art brush that looks like a leaf or a grass blade. We don't need this object anymore, so we can safely delete it. Next, to actually use the art brush, we can use the line tool. But sorry, before that, first we need to pick this grass color. And let's reactivate the line tool. Now, every time we draw a line, we want this art brush to be applied immediately. To do this, first, make sure the art brush is active. Then, in the Appearance panel, in the Options menu, make sure that you turn off the New Art has Basic Appearance option. Because if this is active, every time you create a new line, Illustrator will always reset the brush to the default basic brush. So again, make sure this art brush is active. Then move the mouse until it snaps to the path on the right side. Click drag up while holding the Shift key. Then press V. To duplicate this to the left side, hold Alt and click drag this object while holding down the Shift key until it snaps to the leftmost path line. The reason why we need to do this is to make the left side and the right side seamlessly match up when we tile the image in the game engine. Next, press Ctrl U to disable the Smart Guide. And by using the line tool, we can create leaves or grass blades by clicking and dragging from bottom to top direction. If you are still not satisfied with the first result, don't worry. You can press A to use the Direct Selection tool, then tweak the grass shapes by clicking and dragging on the anchor points. If you make the line longer, the leaf size will become larger automatically. After you are done, next, we want to merge these leaf shapes with the live paint group behind them. Press V, then select all of them, hold Shift, and click on the live paint object to deselect it. Open the Object menu, then select Expand Appearance. This will convert the art brush into regular shapes. Then, to simplify the shapes further, open the Pathfinder panel and click on this Unite button. Then, hold down the Shift key, select the live paint object at the back, then click this button Merge Live Paint. Now the leaves are joined or become part of the live paint object. Now, if we use the Live Paint Selection tool, we can easily select the lines that we don't need and delete them by pressing the Delete key. If you have trouble seeing or sensing the line's location, you can press Ctrl Y to activate the Outline View mode. With this mode, you can easily see the lines that were not visible before. Press Ctrl Y again to exit the Outline mode. Next, we can convert this live paint object into a regular path object by pressing the Expand button. Now the object has turned into a group object. We can press Ctrl-Shift-G to ungroup it. Then select these two shapes that have green colors. Press Ctrl-X to cut it. Create a new layer. Then press Ctrl-F. This shortcut is actually for the Paste in Front command. Its function is almost similar to the Paste in Place command. So until now, we have two layers. This is the top layer, and this is the bottom layer. We can rename the bottom layer to Base, and the top layer to Grass. To add more details, such as holes and rocks in a ground area, we need to create a new layer. Then, we will use this Curvature tool, because it is easier to create smooth shapes with this tool. Just create as many shapes as you like. Try to vary them using different shapes and sizes. For this tutorial, I will only create 5 objects, 3 for the holes and 2 for the rocks. If you are done, press V and select the 3 objects above. We'll use this for the holes. Press I to activate the eyedropper tool. Then choose this soil color as a starting color. Make it a little darker. Then, to create the hole effect, we need to add a dark color on top of these objects. For this, we can use the Curvature tool again by pressing the shortcut Shift-tilde. Hold Ctrl and click on an empty area to remove the selection. Choose a color that is slightly darker than before. Then hold Alt and click here to create a sharp point. Then add more points as needed to form the shadow area. Hold Alt and click again here to create another sharp point. and just continue to close the shape. Control and click to end it. Use the same method for the other whole objects. After you are done, select all of these objects, and in a Pathfinder panel, click on this Divide button. The result of the divide process is a group object. So you need to press Shift-Ctrl-G to ungroup it. Then select the excessive shadow areas that we don't need, and press Delete to remove them. Then select these two shapes. Press Ctrl-G to join them together in a group object. Use this grouping technique again for the other whole objects. When you are finished, you can position this one over here, then this one over here, and this one over here. If you think you need more holes, you can create new ones, or you can just duplicate the existing holes. You can flip and resize it to make them less repetitive. Then for the rocks, basically, we can use the same technique as before. Since this is a rock, we can choose a grayish color. Now, to create the shadow area, I want to show you a different method. I'm going to use the Blob Brush tool. You can access the tool here or by using the shortcut Shift-B. Use a darker version of the stone color. Because we want to make the rocks look like they are popping out of the surface, we need to add the shadow at the bottom area, not at the top area. After you are done, just like before, you can select all and apply the divide operation. Then Shift-Ctrl-G to ungroup it, and just delete the excessive shadow areas that we don't need. Next, select these two shapes. Press Ctrl-G to group them. Then these shapes also. Next, move these rocks to the ground area. If you need, you can duplicate and then scale and rotate the objects. I'm speeding up the video now because there are no new techniques that we need to discuss. When you are done, you can rename the layer to Rocks. If you want to learn Adobe Illustrator in more detail, step by step, from the very basic level until you can create this complex vector illustration, then you should join my online courses at Udemy or at Skillshare. You can check the link in the description. Next, we are going to make a shadow for the grass. First, we can duplicate this layer by holding Alt and then dragging it down. Lock the other layers just to be safe, and rename this layer to Shadow. Next, since we don't need this shape, we can just delete it. Select this grass shape, change the color to a shadow color, for example blue. Then lower the position by pressing the down arrow key, and then scale it down a bit vertically. Next, we need to make this object transparent by opening the Appearance panel. Open the Opacity parameter. Change the blending mode to Multiply. Basically, Multiply will make whatever color underneath the object to look darker. Then, to make it more transparent, just lower the opacity value to about 20%. Next, we want to add some sort of bumps on the grass lines to make them look more natural. For this, we can lock all of the layers and create a new layer at the top. Rename this new layer to Bumps. Then, use the Blob Brush tool. But in this current condition, if we create new shapes with any tools, the appearance parameters will be set to the last settings we used before. That is why this shape looks transparent. For now, we want each newly created shape to have standard appearance parameters. For that, we can open the Options menu from the Appearance panel and reactivate the New Art has Basic Appearance option. Next, pick this green color. Activate the Blob Brush tool again. If you want to change the size of the brush, you can adjust it by pressing the open bracket key and the close bracket key on the keyboard. After that, just draw the bumps randomly. Now, pick the green color that is on top and, like before, add some bumps onto the grass line. After you are done, the next step is to make this blue color to be fully transparent. So go back to the base layer, select the blue shape, open the opacity parameter in the Appearance panel, and change the value to 0. The reason why we set this to be fully transparent but not deleted is to make the overall tileset shape remain perfectly square. This will make it easier for us later when we use it in a game engines. So here is the result we have until now. I think it will be better if we added some shadows around the rocks. For this, we can activate the rocks layer again. Zoom in a little. We want to use this soil color, so pick the color. Next, just to play safe, let's turn this opacity value back to 100%. Then activate the blob brush tool again. Now, if we just make it like this, the newly created shape will cover the existing rock shape. Of course, we can just use the send to back command to rearrange the shapes. But I want to show you a feature called the draw behind mode. To activate this mode, you can click on this button, or you can also press Shift D. If this mode is active, every time we create a new shape, it will be immediately placed behind the existing objects. But because we are working on a separate layer from the ground layer, the shadow object that we are creating will not be placed behind the ground object. At maximum, it can only go behind the rock objects as they are still in the same layer. Next, we want to check whether this tile set will look good or not when tiled inside the game engine. To test it, we can use a feature in Illustrator called Symbols. Let's first unlock all of these layers. Then, select all of the images, duplicate them by holding down the Alt key, then drag them to other location. To create a symbol from selected objects, you can press F8 on the keyboard. Or, if you forget the shortcut, you can open the Symbols panel, press the Options menu, then select New Symbol here. Then, you can give this new symbol a name if you want to. Then, to explain about this export type parameter, you need to know that the original concept of the symbol was adapted from Adobe Animate software, or what was previously known as Adobe Flash. It will be too long to cover all of them in detail. In short, in Adobe Animate, there are two types of symbols. The movie clip type symbol is used for storing animation, and the graphic type is used for static artwork. Since we don't need any animation feature, we can just select the graphic type here. For the other parameters, just leave them as they are in their default states. Click OK here. And now we have a new symbol object. We can see that this object is already listed in the Symbols panel. Because it is now stored as a symbol, we can safely delete this object. To test this symbol, we can use a new layer. Position it so that it is on top. We can hide the other layers first, so they don't get in the way. To use a symbol, simply click drag like this. Then, press Ctrl U to activate the Smart Guide. Hold Alt and click drag it to the right. Make sure the duplicate snaps perfectly to the original tile set. After that, you can just press Ctrl D to repeat the last duplicate process. The advantage of using symbols is that if you change one of the symbols, all other objects of the same symbol will also change automatically. For example, we want to edit the bumps in this area to make it less steep. And we also want to add some shapes on its top area that look like mossy rocks. To edit a symbol, we can just double-click on one of the symbol objects. When a warning message appears stating that we are going to edit a symbol, just click OK. As we can see, now we are inside a symbol called New Symbol. To make the bumps sloping, we can use the Direct Selection tool or press letter A for a shortcut, then just adjust the handles as needed. I think we should deactivate the Smart Guide for now. This is so that the handles don't snap to other objects when we tweak them. For the rocks, we can use the Ellipse tool and just make it like this. Oh, sorry, I forgot that we are still in a draw behind mode. Return the drawing mode to normal first, then pick this color. But we want to make it a bit brighter. Then create several ellipses of various sizes and positions. When you are done, you can activate the selection tool again. To exit the symbol editing mode, You can click on the back arrow button here, or simply double-click on an empty area. And as we can see, the changes we just made appear in all objects of the same symbol. To export this image to the game engine, you can select one of these symbols, then use the export selection command. I will assume you already know how to do this yourself. One last tip from me in making game tilesets like this is to make at least 3 versions with different formations of grasses, holes, and rocks. Just make sure that the left and the right ends can be connected perfectly without any visible seams. Just for an example, this is a game artwork I found on Vectorstock. We can see there are 3 variations of the middle tileset. Later, in the game engine, you can use scripting to randomize which tileset will be displayed. Hopefully, the tileset will not look too repetitive. Okay guys, if you want to learn more about computer graphics, perhaps you want to jump into the video game industry, or perhaps you want to create digital assets that can generate passive income, or you want to have a career doing something you really love, or become an entrepreneur in a creative industry and build your own design firm. Or maybe you just want to learn CG as a hobby. Then you should check out my courses at Udemy or at Skillshare. The links are in the description below. Currently, I have courses for Blender, 3ds Max, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Krita, and more to come inshallah. All of these courses will guide you from the very basic, step by step, until you can master the skills that you need. As always, subscribe to my channel, share the video, give a thumbs up if you like the video, and give a thumbs down if you hate the video. Check out my other tutorials. Wassalamualaikum.